Svetasvatara Upanisad, and we are on the seventh mantra. That's on page 70. Once again, I'll read the mantra and its translation. Then we can go to the remaining portion of this teaching. Udgitametat paramam tu brahma tasmin trayam supratishta aksharam cha atrantaram brahma vido viditva lina brahmani tatpara yoni muktaha. Brahman, which is verily the best, has been proclaimed to be distinct. On it exist the three. It is the excellent substratum, and it is certainly immutable. The knowers of Brahman, having realized the distinction here and remaining absorbed in it, get merged in Brahman and become freed from birth. So, we will take the remaining portion, page 73. There is a kind of an objection here to the commentator. Page 73. Now 73. Yeah. I think the answer. We had seen that it is the excellent substratum of the three. Now, what is? And we had discussed it as the gross universe, the subtle universe, and the causal universe. The entire universe is established on a reality called Brahman. The question arises is, now we see the phenomenal world always in flux, always changing. The gross universe is constantly changing, so is the subtle universe. We have one thought, and then the second thought, and third thought. That's the nature of the mind, the nature of all matter. And we have the causal universe. When we go to deep sleep, we are in touch with that place from where we again emerge. We merge there and emerge. Now, when we have this, now is this changeable reality that we experience is and Brahman, which is unchangeable. How come you have two, you can say, diametrically opposite characteristics of reality? If Brahman, the unchanging reality, is a substratum, and on that I established the three orders of existence: the gross, the subtle, and the causal. How come these two types of realities are contradictory? Suppose I will say, then what's the point in trying to strive for liberation? Because after a while, that liberation will again be mutable. It will change into something called bondage again. After all the struggles, I'll go once again in bondage. Oh, I've given up all ideas of the body, and then suddenly one body appears and take, this is yours. This is the reality. Hey, the objection was that it's like, no, will it be transient like curds? The word used is curds. Curds in the sense of milk turns into curds, and curds into innumerable things. You can do innumerable things. Keeps on transforming itself. So is Brahman the substratum? Something like milk, and then it turns into curds, and then curds will keep on transforming, something like that. So everything will be unstable. So that's the objection. And I'll read a few lines from the commentary. In answer to this apprehension, it is said in the mantra, Aksharam cha. It is certainly immutable. Now, the teachings of the Upanishad cannot be disputed. You might look at it from different angles and give some explanation, but the word itself is Aksharam, immutable. Very strangely, even the alphabets in Sanskrit are called Akshara. They are mutable. All sounds are immutable. They have been there.
Oh, immutable, you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
The A, B, C, D, E.
They're immutable, they say?
They say. In Sanskrit, at least, we have this. All these sounds that emerge out of the primordial sound of O. And the variations are all this I. You know, the various, you can see consonants, and you can see nothing but variations of that primordial sound. And that sound is a continuous sound in the universe. Yeah. You know, something, there is something called Swami Vivekananda in one of his hymns of Samadhi. He describes that there is a kind of a roar heard of that sound of Om. So that's there. We have this sound, and this cosmic background radiation also emits a kind of a sound. Hey, maybe that. Of course, we were too far-fetched, but then the parallels are there. You can hear that cosmic background radiation, the one that helped explode the whole thing and start this creation. Oh yes, it's there, and it's been. You can see it, remnants of it, and we can hear it also. But apart from that, let's come back to the main thing. It's Aksharam. It is immutable. This word has been also frequently used in the Bhagavad Gita. Reality cannot be mutable. Everything we say, even heavens and hells, are mutable. Oh, you know, everything goes out in the stage of dissolution. Only the reality. So they say even heaven is not a reality. This world that we have is also a reality, a mutable reality. So, especially in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there's a long discussion on Akshara. Shara is mutable, Akshara is immutable. So, that reality is immutable. And this is where we need to understand. There are many times, there are many people who, whatever the reason, or whatever the power they had obtained, they tried to change the reality. Let's change this and let's change that and reality cannot undergo any mutation in their puny hands. Here we have things. Let's change the world. Let's change society, and let's change this. They have been madmen who have thought like that. We say, let it flow, let it go. Don't disturb kind of, you can say, reality. And so as a result, what is happening is we find that reality cannot be changed in any kind of the immutable reality. But you can realize it. And the here, to continue the word, Brahman is surely indestructible. for modifications of any type is illusory. So otherwise what happens is we will have two types of realities. One is mutable, one is immutable. And if you put both together, that also will be a kind of a contradiction. So what do they say? Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta says, this reality is immutable. There is one reality. And what you think of as a mutable reality is a kind of a unreal, illusory. Now, illusory is not something like, they give the examples of the Shashavishana, the horns on a hare's head, or rabbit's head. Rabbits don't have horns. But in your mind, you can picturize, yeah, you can have a kind of a rabbit, and you can have some horns, deer horns. So, in reality, you will never find such a rabbit. So, is this world that we see illusory, something like this? Say, no, nothing like that. Or you say a barren woman's son. There is, when you say a barren woman and then your son, you contradict yourself. Is it? No, what we see, we are experiencing, we are seeing the reality, but through a kind of a haze. And that haze is called ignorance. Ignorance in the sense of it makes us see the reality as something different. If we see the reality as a reality, there you are without any illusions. In Trabuco, last Saturday, our old Swami is there, Swami Yogeshananda. And while he was in India, he picked up a little Bengali and little Hindi. So he, surprised me. He said, "Darshan saaf hai," and I couldn't. What did you mean? What did you say, Swami? Darshan saaf hai. And I said, yeah. In India, monks, traditional monks, they don't say good morning or good evening when they meet. They say darshan saaf hai. That is, darshan is to see. Saaf hai is your perception clear. That's the idea. We have so many types of illusions. We superimpose our ideas on things, and then we either, oh, this is good or that is bad, or you get frightened, oh. But I am constantly superimposing my ideas on this reality. It is not that an illusion is in Brahman. You understand that? Otherwise, you'll say Brahman is a subject to illusion. I don't want such a Brahman. We are superimposing false ideas on this reality.
But there's two shrishtis, no? Ishvara shrishti, Jiva shrishti.
Jiva srishti.
Yeah.
Jiva srishti.
This is Jiva shrishti. But Ishvara shrishti, they also are saying is some kind of illusion. The Advaita, pure Advaita.
Pure Advaita, you'll say there is no srishti at all. There is one school of Advaita Vedanta. They say there is no creation at all. It's called a Jatavad. A Jata means unborn. This reality which you see has never been born, has never arisen, has never been created. So these are the extreme ones, They say, what's the reality? Reality? Yeah, it is. The universe? What universe are you talking about? There is no universe. I see this Brahman, this reality all the time. So But then when you come down to philosophical, you can say disputations or you can say a structure. You need to accept that there is a creation because I'm experiencing it. And then have to philosophically build up a kind of a argument, a structure, where I can prove that this very thing that you see is not exactly what you see. Yeah, so this is one thing about it. You're seeing it. You're seeing it, yeah. And that's the reason why darshan saaf hai. Are you seeing things clearly? Or are you superimposing your ideas on things? Oh, the world is a flat world. Why? Because you experience the flatness all there. So the earth is flat. And we lived with that. Though the ancient Greeks and the ancient Indians said that the world is spherical. The earth has got a circumference and it had measured the circumference and all these things. In Alexandria, especially, these great uh, philosophers in the library. It is all, and this Earth is the center of the universe. Oh, really? Oh, and the sun moves around us. That's what we experience. But then all the maths was wrong. The calculation was going haywire. What's wrong? And then we changed our perception. Did we did we bring the sun and put it in the center and put the earth there? No, it was already there running in a kind of a system. We changed the perception. That's now it's perfect. Now things fall into place. Now we can calculate, the distances and eclipses and this and that and every the whole thing and the retrograde movement of some planets. Oh, then now it's because the sun is now the center of the and the church went all out. And you cannot have such a thing. Oh, the heretical. It's wrong. And then what Copernicus did was what he published a book and it was like he waited for some time. Then he published a book and then he passed away. So there was no one to catch and blame. And by that time, these guys woke up to the it had already spread around Europe. So what we did was we changed the perception. The moment we understood, oh, this is the truth. Why we so in error? And then we changed the perception. Same way, when we see all this, we are seeing it as mutable. Who told you it's mutable? It's immutable. Oh, really? Doesn't seem like it. But suppose you had a long training in these disciplines, and the guru tells you, Tattvamasi, you are that. Immediately your wrong perception goes away. These are the highest types of aspirants. While we will have to go plodding on, on, on. But once we intellectually understand it, it becomes easier. It does not need plodding. You go and it's kind of a drag and it's coming slowly. It's so strenuous. Then it will be a joyful journey. Yes, I'm going towards that thing which is existence, real existence, the reality. And it's also blissful, they say. And I want bliss. And that's where I'm going. Now, I'm using this term of going and journey and this and that. But Vedanta says, wait. Don't go about running on the world. Go inside. The journey is within. Somewhere I have been living with this ideas of this. This is the reality, and that needs to be knocked on the head. By who? You have to do it yourself. If the guru comes and is gracious enough, he can knock it on the head. Hey, what's that? Swami Vivekananda nicely went and he and Sri Ramakrishna, you sang, and then Sri Ramakrishna inched closer towards him, closer, and with his foot touched his chest. And he's saying, this whole universe, the doors, windows, the floor, everything was whirling into a void, and merging into a void, including his own individuality. Our problem is we have built this individuality after great efforts. Not only in this lifetime, lifetimes and lifetimes we have been keeping on building. We don't want to let go. That's the idea. You got it? So yes, I mean, they say that's the final, you can say, barrier. What will happen to me? And Swami Vivekananda, what are you doing to me? I've got my father and mother at home. So Sri Ramakrishna laughs. Oh, let it be. Wait for some time. So here we have, and he was an aspirant of the highest class. Even he was. So what do we need to do? We need to constantly remember, constantly, you can say, hear about this reality. And then once we've intellectually understood, the rest of our embodiment has to accept that idea. Our mind accepts the idea, but our bodies don't. That thought, that acceptance, the idea that this is the reality, has to descend down in my body and mind and all the nerves, because my body is reacting. It's like, you put a lie detector, guy in that test, and then you find a default, you can say, level, and then you see that he's lying, and then his body is reacting. He may be, deadpan. He may be speaking something, but his body is reacting. There's kind of there's slight, you can say, a moisture on the skin because they're sweating, and then skin galvanic response, and then his heartbeat goes faster, pulse goes faster. He is not aware of these things, but there is a machine's catching. So, and that also says that we are generally meant to embody what is truthful. Lies, etc., go against the grain. It's against our nature. Why do we need to speak the truth? It's less troublesome. If you tell lies, then you have to keep on remembering
what you
what
told.
lies, keep on and on and on and the reality is truth. You see, we are getting certain, you can say, indications that this is going against my nature. And when I am with my nature, with truthfulness, with love and honesty, and with compassion. This is my real nature, and I'm feeling good about it. And it is here where they say that Brahman is not completely unknown. Yes, we intuitively understand these things. So, as a child is developing, comes to around 9 or 10 years old, his ego is more or less crystallized into, yes, a separate individuality. Though it is separate from, they said, this is me and that is reality. We separate ourselves from reality, yet we have these intimations of it comes. As the mind matures, it comes. And all the scriptures declare that this is the way, this is the path. The only they say that it is God's commandment, do it. Why do you have to bring in God? It's self-evident. Oh yes, it's self-evident. How do we get a morality? Suppose you say, before the Bible or before the scriptures, any scriptures, weren't there people living? And what type of morality did they possess or did they live by? What values? It's for 150,000 years, say, more or less, humankind have been living, and they have been living. And that we are here today means those guys survived. And survived how? It's not only, avoid this prey and predator business, but also live amongst ourselves. And we need a moral code to get by. How did we know it? There was no Bible and Quran and the Vedas and the Zendavesta and the Tripitaka, nothing. How did they? They lived like that. So we have a capacity to abstract morality from watching people behavior. Oh yes. You don't need to. And then Moses comes and he smashes. Smashes. They say, let's get another copy of it. Yeah, he was so annoyed. He said, what's happening around here? I went there. These guys are doing something exactly opposite of what God has told. So we first behave. We are actually action creatures. We look and we orient our behavior accordingly. And a child looking at you, all these things, okay, this is how it's done, this is how it's done, this is how it's done. He will abstract a general sense of morality. And that's what runs society. Of course, there's another theory that's called theory in the sense they have some in neurology. It's called the mirror neurons. There are in the brains something called some nerve cells that act like mirrors. I see you and you're reflected in this. This is how I've got to behave. Yeah, it is there. There. So that's another powerful, you can say factor. This has been spoken about by this V.S. Ramchandran, very famous neurologist, I think, University of San Diego. He is, oh, you've heard of this? Oh, yes.
What's his last name? V.S.
V.S. Ramachandran. So in one of his lectures, I think there's a TED talk also, if I'm not mistaken, where he speaks about. So to get back to, if we can abstract a general sense of morality or values by studying the interactions of people in society, we also abstract a general sense of reality. Why do every culture in the world believes in a god, some form of higher power? There has been no training or no culture has gone. There have been invasions and raids and all these things. The weaker culture has gone to the stronger culture voluntarily, accepted some of the teachings. But even in cultures which have not been despoiled, they have not been contacted, they have some idea of a higher power. Every culture, every civilization, and every people, even if they are living in some Amazon forest, which they are, you catch them, they'll have a sense of morality, they have a sense of ethics, they have a sense of reality. And in whatever form they like to worship, or they make a kind of a clay image and say this is the reality, or this is the door to reality, or it represents reality, the symbol of reality, and they worship it. Nobody has taught them, it's innate. So the mind also, in this way, apprehends that reality. in a vague sense. So Brahman is not unknown. You know it. And I was telling Yogeshananda, old Swami, what's the sign of a knower of Brahman? If he says, I know, there's something wrong. You cannot encapsulate that whole reality to your limited mind. It's not possible. That means the reality is so small, it covers that. No. It has to be beyond knowledge, beyond the known, beyond the unknown. So especially in the Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, we have something called Naham Manye Suvedeti. I think the disciple tells the Guru, now I know, I feel that I don't know the reality well enough. And at the same time, no no vedeti vedacha. And at the same time, I cannot say I do not know. And the Upanishad takes over and saying, those amongst us who say like this, they are the knowers of Brahman. Yo nastad vedad yo na vedeti vedacha. And how it has to be understood, how the reality has to be apprehended, pratibodha viditam matam. That is, it has to be experienced in every, you can say, cognition, and every moment of, you can say, every perception. In everything that I do, it's a kind of a mixture between non-knowledge and knowledge, or illusion or knowledge. Look at your own lives. Now the whole thing looks so illusory. Even yesterday seems so distant and so far away. Did I say that? Did I do that? Oh, how could I? How could I be so stupid? Wrong choices. Yeah. And in certain states of mind, you see this world which has its tentacles in you and your body is getting slightly loosened. And you see the world as like a kind of a passing show. When the mind comes here, then you know things as you'll just dismiss them off. No, think here it is. I know better. I'm seeing clearly. Darshan Saaf. I'm seeing clearly. What you're showing me is not the truth. I can see truth very clearly now. I'm under no illusions. And once your life becomes something like that, I can face myself. I can face all those shadows which I've been hiding from, or which I have been using to hide myself, and showing that I'm something else other than you know what you are. Everyone knows what they are, but what they present to the world is something different. So here we have the idea, our life itself is a mixture of truth and falsehood. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of, ant. It can, if you mix sugar and sand together, it can very easily separate the sugar from the sand. It knows. So here, that's the reason why they say darshan safa, that is, your perception is so sharpened that it can see truth and falsehood very clearly, and cuts its way through. Ramakrishna used to say of Swami Vivekananda, he's like an unsheathed sword, constantly. Now there are two ways. Girish Ghosh, the Bohemian devotee of Ramakrishna, says, you know you can give the difference between Swami Vivekananda and Nag Mahashai. He was a great saint, really great saint. So when the Divine Mother Mahamaya, who has created this universe out of a wish.
Hello, Swamiji.
Hello.
Just came from India.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you, Swamiji. Same here. And I have a chair available.
Yeah.
Saki's coming too. She's just parking the car.
And when Mahamaya goes to tie up Vivekananda, and she goes down with a rope and she tries to tie him. And every time, and when she's tying, she thinks that rope is insufficient. So she goes to get another piece of rope or to attach another piece of rope to this. And Swami Vivekananda gets larger. And she gets more rope and gets more larger and larger. Finally, I cannot catch him. And when she goes to tie up Nag Mahashai, it ties him up, he becomes small. And then she tightens the noose, he's smaller and smaller and smaller. And she couldn't tie him. So there are two ways. There are two ways to do it. The iti and the neti. No, not this, not. And the other is spread yourself out. Keep on spreading yourself out till you cover the whole universe. The whole universe is me. And there comes a time in the individual life when the individual, that person can say, I am the universe. That is the highest state. But because you are the universe, and then what's happening actually? I generally give an example of when Brahma, the creator God, it was time for creation. In one of our Puranas, that is mythological literature, he meditates and he reflects on the past creation. And he's about to commence a new creation. And he meditates. So out of his pure mind, which is filled with knowledge, 4 young boys are born. They are the mind-born sons of Brahma. They are called the 4 eternal, you can say, boys. The Char Kumar, Sanat Kumar, Sanat Sujata, then all these are Sanatana, Sanandana. And he needs help, Brahma. So he said, go and further creation. He said, no. They go away and they begin to meditate. So Brahma got annoyed, and that because of his mind became filled with annoyance, some more persons emerged out of this. They are the first, you can say, the Prajapati, progenitors. That Pulastha, Pulaha, Kratu, and all these, the 12 progenitors. And he said, now go. He deputed, go and further creation. Take it to the next stage. And oh, yes. And because his mind was full of this Rajaguna, there's that anger and passion and all, these people are born like this. And the 4 first mind-born sons of Brahma, they were so pure, and because they emerged out of his pure mind, one day they came saying, hey, Dad, what is this thing about creation? What have we created? He looks at them. They could not see creation the way we see it all. So what Brahma did was, while he touches their hearts, and their heart begins to vibrate. And as it keeps on vibrating, they see everything emerging out of that vibration. Hey, see the sun and the moon and the stars and the lightnings and the earth has come. Oh! And here, it's the whole thing is vibrating. They are seeing this illusion. And after they say, yeah, we've had enough. Oh, it's just a wonderful creation that we got here. Oh, this is what is called creation. Oh. And Brahma again touches their heart and the vibration ceases and they are back in that higher reality. So here we are. This whole reality is a kind of a vibratory state. Yeah, it's moving. And we are seeing this reality like, I mean, the way it is not. So if you come to this state, what happens is, here you say, these knowers of Brahman, once they realize this, then what happens? The word uses atra in the mantra. Here, while still living. It's not a post-mortem, you can say state. Oh, when you die, we have something like that. It's called Videha Mukti, but it's called Jivan Mukti. Here, while you are still living, you see this reality. And this is what it is. So here in this body, these people, and like I said, you cannot know the Brahman. It's used in a loose way. Knowers of Brahman. The knowers of Brahman become Brahman. That's what Upanishad. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. You become that reality. And once you become that reality, then what happens? You don't need to be born again. And that's what the word is saying. Lina Brahmani, then he's saying what? Yoni Muktaha. Yoni is the womb and free from all types of wombs. That person is not born. Not born. Because he understands my reality as huge. And it's huge. And then nothing can hold him. Yeah.
Have you ever taught the Jivan Mukti Viveka text?
I was responsible rather for editing during the second edition. The first came out and it was plenty of typos were there, and then it was given to me to do a correction. I took it upon myself to, and I knew not then. I knew the translator Jivan Mukti. In fact, he was such an inspiring monk, Mokshadananda Ram Maharaj. Very, very inspiring. He was a great monk. He had very little academic education. We never knew. But you talk to him of anything. He had studied classical music, which takes about 15 years, 20 years. He knew classical music. He knew that, very difficult grammar also. Panini's grammar. And he knew the six systems of philosophy. He knew French and German and English and this and that, and Hindi and yet he was so humble. So yes, I have read the Jivan Mukti Vivek, and it's a wonderful. You can say you're reading that.
Mhm.
Oh God! Yeah. Nah.
Swami, we can't say I am a knower of this. Where does the expression I am Shiva and I know I am Brahman?
Yeah, it's the same. I am
the same.
identified with that reality. Shivo Aham. In today's chanting in the morning, it was that Nirvana Ashtakam, the octad on Nirvana. And Shankaracharya, who has written it, he says, I am not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm not the ego, I'm not memory, mano, buddhya, chitta, niha. I'm not the sense organs, and I'm Shiva, I'm Shiva. It keeps on and on and on. I'm no teacher, I'm no student, I'm no dharma, I'm no adharma, I'm not the eater, I'm not nothing. Keeps on dismissing everything. And I am that reality. The highest reality is that Shiva. And Shiva is what? It is not just, it's a name of a god also. The, you can say, the god of destruction, Shankara. But Shiva also means I am that auspicious reality. I am that auspicious. So, yes, you can say Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivo. Aham is I. I am that Shiva. I am that Shiva. But that's meant only for. I mean, you can. There's no copyright or there's nothing. You can keep on. There was one. You have something further to, because I want
No,
to
I
do.
was just asking because
Yeah.
I would like to read it with guidance because it's an advanced text,
Yeah, it's a very advanced text.
so maybe I can talk you into it.
So there's one Advaitin. He sees, he writes on the wall, so aham in Sanskrit, I am he. So a Dvaitist, a dualist, he gets annoyed looking at it, saying, what? I am he? Can never be. So he puts, I am his servant. He just puts a da, so aham. It's Sanskrit is a very malleable language and it's a beautiful language. So, the Advaitan again comes, oh, somebody has spoiled this whole thing. So what he puts is, he puts a sa before this da. And he's saying, sada aham shivoham. Sada aham. So aham, sada aham. And sada. And so each person revisiting that site is either writing da or so editing. Dasoham. Daso. I am the servant, I'm the servant, I'm the servant, I'm servant of that. And he's coming and putting the S, sir. And he's saying, Sada. And I'm always that reality. So that has been the quibble amongst the Advaitins and the Dvaitins. Sada. Always, I am that reality. That's what he says, Shiva. I am that reality. But I have not been able to acknowledge. I'm a little frightened. What if everything that I have possessed, everything that I am goes away? Well, like a drop of water, the rain is falling down in the ocean and screaming, hey, finish, I'm gone. And the ocean says, hey, what's wrong with you? You are going to merge in something which you have emerged. You have arisen from. No, I'm an individual and I'm this and I'm that and there. So, somewhere deep down, we are holding on to our illusions. And yes, it's not bad. You have a little, you can chew the bone, the dog says. You get a little bleeding gums, but you see how so tasty this bone is. And we have not been able to let go. So that's the reason why we cannot intuit this reality immediately. But it impinges on us over and over again. It's there, it's calling out to you. Swami Vivekananda gives an example of, we have a little time. The Pied Piper of Hamelin. You heard of this Pied Piper, Hamlet? You haven't, of course.
The Pied Piper, the one.
Yeah, that village was full of rats and the people didn't know what to do, and then the guy comes and says, "Yeah, I'll rid you of all the rats and all. You need to pay me so much." Huh? Okay, fine. Then he plays on his flute, and all the rats they follow him, and then he goes down to the river, and then and all the yes, and all the rats. You were from there in Germany. You're near
I'm from
Hamlin,
Slovakia.
Slovakia. Okay, fine.
And I didn't grow up there.
That's fine.
I
Good,
grew
good,
You
up-
good.
didn't have rats, right?
You don't have rats.
So I didn't grow up in America.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not an American thing anyway.
But I
the
never
Pied
heard
Piper.
that. I never heard
Mm.
Wait, what does he do with the rat?
They all drown.
that.
It's not nice.
Yeah, not nice. Yeah, but then it's better than to have
Oh.
those bubonic plague, no?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So lesser evil. So he comes for his payment. So what happened? Nothing. You just played the flute and then you went and the rat swallowed. There's no connection between the flute playing and the rat swallowing it. Oh, then he got slightly annoyed and he played a different tune on his flute, and all the children of the village come and follow him. And they go, "Where are the children? Where are the children?" And he hit them. And the children never drowned, of course. He hit them and you pay me. There's no connection between.
What a dark story.
Why? You've never heard of the Pied Piper of Hamlin? Oh,
Oh,
really?
it's
I don't
really.
remember that part.
Of course, Sue, you have.
Yeah, I don't
it's-
either,
I
it's-
don't remember
Is
that.
it a grim
We
fairy
in India,
Yeah,
of
it's
course,
from
in
Grimm.
India we have this.
They have
We had a
dark
British
stories.
system
Yeah.
of education, so we knew all these.
Yeah, it's grim. A grim.
Grimm,
Yeah,
yes,
Grimm
yes,
fairy.
Grimm fairy
None
tale.
of them were very happy stories.
No,
They're
none of
pretty
them.
hard.
I did read the good
Mm.
stories.
Yes,
But I don't
you,
remember that
you
part.
read it.
He hit the
You
children
were
and saying, "There's no connection between my flute playing and the children following me." Then he said, "Okay, then pay up." Okay, then he paid up, and he brought the children back. So that was it. So
what's the connection?
we have Swami Vivekananda says he uses this analogy, and then he said we have heard the music of the flute player, and it is there. And he quotes the Bhagavad Gita and says, "Come ye, O the Bible, come ye, o are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And then the Bhagavad Gita, this my Maya is difficult to cross, but those who seek refuge in me easily cross over this ocean. And humankind has heard it. Somewhere deep down in our hearts, this thing is ringing. And this whole creation is nothing but a mad scramble to get to that voice. Daivi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Mameva, you come to me, the Lord says. Seek refuge in me, and I will lift you up from all these illusions. So, once you understand that this mad struggle that we see in this world amongst innumerable types of people and the whole creation is nothing but that voice which we all have heard, and we are scrambling towards it, and in the process pushing people out of the way, combining with other people, trampling on other people, climbing over some people, and this is creation that's happening. But ultimately, everything will be all right. We don't need to push. Swami Vivekananda gives another example. If there is, if you're sitting for a movie and then there's a loud, you can say, fire alarm, everybody rushes to the exits and there's going to be stampede. If everybody would have got up quietly and left, there would have been no deaths. So we are in that mad hurry. We should have been doing it, in a kind of a decent way. Quietly leave, exit. That's all. So they say the stampedes kill more people than you can say the actual. You can say the fire. Or anything. That's what happens. So we need to understand. Once you understand, oh, this is what is that reality, this is that, then quietly sit down. Now don't push others out of the way, help them. And the more you help people to understand this thing, the more you can say you can take people along. That's the idea. So that's the highest ideal. Muktascha anyan vimut. That is, those who are free will help others to become free. What's the use of your 20 years of meditation or 30 years of meditation? It's a kind of a selfish. It's like, Sri Ramakrishna says there's a guy who comes, he eats a mango and he wipes his mouth. It leaves no traces that I've eaten a mango. Another person gets a mango and he shares it with others.
Mhm.
So is it the raw raw personality and the right personality? And that's what we got to be. Slowly understand that this reality is for everyone and we have to help each other. This is the highest morality. It transcends this small thing like love and compassion and all these things. I think just the highest morality is that you and I are one. Harming you is harming myself. That's the basis of Vedantic morality. As the reality, as the Atman, we are one. We may have differences in our bodies and minds. So what? But that is not the reality. That's an illusion. Differences is an illusion. The reality is one. So that's the reason why we feel oneness with people. And at times when the mind rises and rises and rises, you will feel that oneness more and more. The differentiation becomes less. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that there's a kernel octonally and there's a memorial there. There's a kind of a tower. When you climb up to that tower and you look down, all those individual differences are all, you can say,
Mhm.
eradicated. You see everything as a kind of a mass. So the higher and higher you travel to the reality, you will find that everyone are situated within that reality. There's no one, even the most hateful person, the most sinful person, are all within that reality. Then you can really say, I love mankind. And these are the prophets. We think they were ordinary people. They had so much love in their hearts for the whole of mankind. It's you cannot imagine everything, not only mankind, even the birds. And Christ, you see that the birds used to come and pick the grains from his farm. So it was here. He's the lover of reality. He's the lover of mankind. Everybody who's situated in that reality, the whole of creation, feels that love. Swami Vivekananda says, Buddha, he sends a current of love. Let all things be happy. Let all beings be peaceful. Let all beings be blissful. He turns to the east and the west and north and south. The whole universe was full of his love. This is what it is. This is the highest moral point, and that's the reason why they say that Vedanta teaches the highest reality and it also teaches the highest morality.
Mm.
And the highest ideal a person can ever aspire to. I am the universe. I am. So we'll stop here for today.
Mm.